Hey Ben, big fan. I'm a sophomore here at Michigan, and basically my question is, one of the big problems that I see with conservatism and where it's going is that we're tending to get away from intellectual conservatism of people like Thomas Sowell, Milton Friedman, William Buckley, all that, and we're going to people like Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens, who I just, as a conservative myself, I just don't respect as much. So I was wondering what you think we can do to kind of get back to that intellectual conservatism, because I think that gives it a lot more credibility.
So I'm not going to rip on anybody else in the political space. I'll rip on principles. I'm not going to rip on people. When I make fun of AOC, I'm making fun of her specific views. So I'm going to follow Reagan's 11th commandment and not attack anybody who's on the same side of the aisle. With that said, would I like to see a more intellectual conservatism that is not focused on slogans and is much more focused on sort of underlying principles? Of course. I mean, I just spent a year and a half writing a book about the principles of Western civilization. It's essentially a survey of Western philosophy since the Bible. So I'm very much a believer in this sort of thing. It's why on my show I recommend a new book nearly every day, or at least once every couple of days. I think a well-read, well-informed conservatism is more convincing than other forms. Listen, conservatism needs all sorts of fighters. It needs people who are able to get the base out and rah-rah, and that's important. It's particularly important come election time. But we also need the capacity to convince. And what that really means is people who have spent a lot of time studying issues, people who are thoughtful about issues, people who can see nuance, who don't suffer from the need to relieve cognitive dissonance. All of that is useful, but all that takes is it takes a lot more work and a lot more reading, and so that's what I encourage people to do. It's funny, obviously a lot of my personal popularity rests on these 2 minutes Shapiro destroys videos, and that's all wonderful. I mean, like, that's great. I'm glad people engage with it. But I've always viewed those as more of a gateway drug to something deeper. I want people to watch entire lectures. I want people to go and read entire books. I want people to engage with vaster, broader content. And even when they read my new book, which again is a survey of Western philosophy, I say in the book, there are people who know this stuff way better than I do, so you should go read their books. And life is a constant intellectual journey. If we're not doing that on the right, not only are we failing to make the best arguments, we're also missing out on the fun of politics itself.
Yeah, that was certainly a gateway drug for me. Thank you.
Thank you.